In the early 2000s, a bearded giant emerged from the gritty streets of Miami, captivating millions with raw, unfiltered violence. A man who turned backyard brawls into an empire. A man whose presence alone struck fear and fascination. This is the story of Kimbo Slice, the street-fighting phenom who forced the fight world to pay attention. Kevin Ferguson was born on February 8, 1964, in Nassau, Bahamas. But he grew up in the tough streets of Cutler Ridge, Florida, a place where respect was earned with fists and survival was a daily hustle. Kevin wasn't born into privilege. He was born into the grind. From a young age, Kevin stood out. Not just for his size or strength, but for his fire. In high school, he was a standout linebacker at Miami Palmetto. Coaches saw potential. Teammates saw leadership. Opponents saw a nightmare. But life had other plans. He got a scholarship to Bethune-Cookman and later attended the University of Miami, but financial pressure forced him to drop out. Without a degree, he hustled to survive, working as a bouncer, a limo driver, and a bodyguard. But deep down, he still had that fight in him. And then, the internet happened. A backyard, a camcorder, a bare-knuckle fight. Kevin, now Kimbo Slice, entered a raw world where reputations were made with fists. These weren't sport fights. These were survival. And Kimbo? He was a wrecking machine. Videos of Kimbo smashing opponents spread like wildfire. No sponsors, no rules, just raw dominance. He became the internet's first viral fighter. But it wasn't just the power. It was the aura, the beard, the stare, the confidence. Kimbo looked like he belonged on Mount Olympus with a pair of gloves. He wasn't just a fighter. He was a presence, a force, a living, breathing myth. By 2007, Kimbo entered pro MMA, facing former boxing champ Ray Mercer. He shocked everyone by submitting Mercer in just over a minute. The MMA world took notice. Fans wanted more. Promoters saw dollar signs. He signed with EliteXC and went on a tear, knocking out Bo Cantrell in 19 seconds, Tank Abbott in 43. These weren't just wins. They were statements. Kimbo was showing the world that he was more than a street fighter. He was a headliner, a draw, a ratings machine. But fame brings pressure, and pressure reveals cracks. In 2008, Kimbo was set to face Ken Shamrock live on CBS, his biggest spotlight yet. But just hours before the fight, Shamrock pulled out with a cut. In stepped Seth Petruzzelli. Unknown, underrated, and fearless. 14 seconds later, Kimbo was on the mat. The myth had taken a hit. The internet exploded. Analysts questioned his legitimacy. Fans doubted. EliteXC folded shortly after. The bubble had burst. But Kimbo didn't quit. In 2009, he joined The Ultimate Fighter Season 10. Dana White had once mocked him, but now he was the show's main attraction. Millions tuned in. Kimbo lost in the house but gained respect. He earned a UFC contract. His official debut came against Houston Alexander. It was ugly. It was raw. It was classic Kimbo. He won by unanimous decision. He had proven he could win in the world's biggest MMA organization. But the UFC wasn't built for street kings. It was built for killers. In his next fight, Matt Mitrione stopped him with brutal ground and pound. Kimbo was cut. His UFC chapter was over. But again, he wasn't done. In 2011, Kimbo turned to professional boxing. The purists laughed. But Kimbo trained hard, fought smart, and won. 7 victories, 6 by knockout. He wasn't a champion, but he filled arenas. And more importantly, he never stopped fighting. Then in 2015, at age 41, Kimbo shocked everyone by returning to MMA, this time with Bellator. His comeback fight was poetic. Ken Shamrock. The fight that never happened in EliteXC was finally on. And once again, Kimbo delivered. He knocked Shamrock out in the first round. Next up was a clash with Dada 5000, a fight between two Miami backyard legends. The hype was massive. The result? A mess. The two men were exhausted after round 1. Dada collapsed in the third. Kimbo won but failed a post-fight drug test. The result was overturned. Behind the scenes, Kimbo was battling something more dangerous than any opponent: heart failure. Doctors had diagnosed him with congestive heart failure. He was awaiting a transplant. But even with that knowledge, he trained, he worked, he showed up. What most fans never saw was the man behind the myth. Kimbo was a father, a family man, a mentor. He supported his son Kevin Jr., known as Baby Slice, in his own MMA journey. He remained humble, often greeting fans with warmth and respect. He gave back to his community. He stayed true to who he was. On June 6, 2016, Kimbo Slice died unexpectedly from heart failure. He was only 42. The MMA world stood still. Fighters who once mocked him now honored him. Fans who cheered his knockouts now mourned his loss. Kimbo Slice was never the most polished striker. He didn't have perfect technique, but what he had was real. He had grit. He had story. He had legacy. He took the fight game out of the gym and into the streets. He inspired a generation of fans who saw themselves in him. He wasn't manufactured. He wasn't prepackaged. He was raw, real, and relentless. He forced MMA to acknowledge that there's more to fighting than black belts and trophies. That sometimes greatness is forged in the fire of struggle, in the dirt of backyards, in the silence between knockouts. Kimbo Slice didn't just fight in cages. He fought through poverty, through rejection, through every setback, and he never stopped swinging. If you liked this story, subscribe to the channel, click the like button, and activate notifications to never miss a new video. Got a fighter you want us to cover next? Drop their name in the comments below. We read every single one. Hello from Global Combat Arena.